America was made from hard work and pride in a job well done. Since 2013, Walmart has been committed to creating jobs by buying $250 billion in products made, grown, and assembled right here in the United States. At Walmart, we know that our communities are stronger when people have the opportunity to work. That's why we celebrate America's entrepreneurial spirit through the products we sell. Learn more about our commitment to U.S. manufacturing at walmart.com/America.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Jennie Walker, and welcome to Closet Conversations. Today is tip number 2 for sourcing in my series on tips for sourcing for resellers. I'm just going to start coming on here and giving some of my cool tips, nice, quick little podcast about some things that I do and I think about when I'm out sourcing, and I thought you'd be interested. So today, I want to talk about sourcing what I'm going to call incomplete items. Okay, so what does that mean? Something's missing, something's wrong. There's missing buttons, it's missing belts, there's stains, the brand tag's missing or hanging, something's wrong with the zipper. And one of the things that I learned when I had my consignment shop is that there is this whole group of people who buy things for, quote, inspiration, unquote. And for a long time, I was like, I have no idea what that means. What does that mean? You're going to buy something that's damaged, that's missing something, that's incomplete for inspiration. So I learned from people who would come in my store that there are people that design things for brands, they're design teams, and so they want vintage pieces to give them an idea of what other people have done to, spark their creativity. So if something's missing something or it's stained or it's damaged, it doesn't matter because they're not buying it to wear. They're buying it for inspiration, and so they'll keep it around with other things to help them develop a line or develop, something for a brand. And I had this happen with a vintage blouse I bought that it was just so extraordinary. It was just the most amazing thing I'd ever seen from the 70s, and but it had stains on it, and I'm like, I just can't leave this here because it's so awesome. Well, I posted it anyway, and sure enough, somebody bought it in just no time flat, and they were happy to get it, and I'm assuming it's for inspiration. And so some of the things that I've noticed when I'm out sourcing is, obviously typical there's no buttons, but a lot of times if you look inside the garment, attached inside on the tag or on a seam is an extra button. Also, people will put those buttons in the pockets. And so there's oftentimes the button is there if you look for it. And the other day I saw a jacket, and I'm like, I was going into the pockets, and I could feel an extra button, and then I noticed that it had all the buttons except one on the sleeve, and that's what that button was for. So sometimes things are sewn inside. Even if it's not missing a button, you'll see things sewn inside. It has its extra button. So those are ways that you can complete the item because you just look and see if the button's there. If it's not there, and in the case of vintage Moschino that I sell a lot of, is I actually have a whole bag of extra buttons that I have come across for different reasons that I have so I can replace if something needs it. I also have items that are missing or have a broken button that I need to fix, so it's in my repair pile. And so for someone like me, I might buy a damaged skirt for the whole purpose of getting the covered button that holds it at the waist, because Moschino did a lot of, so many of their pieces are covered buttons and in acetate, so you can take it off just about anything in like standard size and replace it. So that's the thing I've noticed. When it comes to belts, I have hesitated a lot to buy things with belts. And then it occurred to me a couple things that I could do to buy something that was missing the belt. One, I can add a belt, meaning get a ribbon, get some grosgrain ribbon, and particularly if it also has the little string loops that are on the side of the garment, you can put it through and make it look like it's not missing anything, that it's complete. Alternatively, you can cut off those belt loops. And so this is something I started doing with the seam ripper is, cutting off and ripping out the belt loops so that way it doesn't look like it's missing something. Because some things look like intentional and some things look like it's just missing the belt. And so those are a couple of things that I do to help complete the item so that I can sell it. Other things is sometimes there are things with stains on it, and I'm always evaluating whether or not I should buy something and dry clean it or not, or attempt to clean it if I believe that there's a stain on it. Now that is about 50-50 success rate with that. And there are times where, things were just ruined, and I thought, I have an example of this Versace dress. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen, in the worst condition I've ever seen. And I took it to my dry cleaner, and I said, look, you and I both know this is a train wreck. Let's see if you can get it out. And he actually said, I will try to get it out and not charge you if I don't. And so I'm like, I don't have anything to lose. He was unable to get the stains out. So that is just sitting there. Probably will put it on auction at some point. But it is a train wreck. So what you could do with something like that is use it for inspiration, or you could dye it. It's a white dress, so you could dye it black. I mean, there's so many things people could do to correct, but I don't want to limit myself with that. Brand tags, you can get brand tags off another item that's the same, by the same maker to finish a piece. Maybe it's a better piece. You can also, if they're hanging off, I always am resewing everything. So I have a good relationship with my dry cleaner, and they are always sewing on buttons and brand tags. And now they're going to be sewing on shoulder pads, because I've been buying a lot of things from the 80s, and where some of them are Velcro, but like a lot of them are just those little strings. And when those things break, those shoulder pads are like halfway down to your elbow. So that's something that I do. Zippers, this is another story. I've never tried to fix a zipper, but if it's something, depending on what it is, you may or may not want to try to get that fixed or sell it as is. So the point is, there are different ways you can pair something. You may or may not want to be bothered with it. And I lately was to the point, well, if it's not all there, I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to try to dry clean it unless it's something really, really special, because my 50% success rate, kind of puts me off trying to do it. But what does work a lot is cutting off those belt loops. And I think dresses that have the belt in the same material are notoriously getting lost. One time in the Goodwill, I found the belt to the dress on the belt rack for sale for $4.99. So I took the belt and the dress to the manager, and I said, look, you and I both know that this belt goes with this dress, because it was like polka dots, right? It was like some crazy, crazy color polka dots. And it was like, there's nothing else on the planet this belt belonged to other than this dress. And so they kindly let me, have the belt to the dress to complete it. And a lot of these things get missed. Like the other day, I had found a Mark Kane beautiful wool knit or mohair knit skirt in the Goodwill. I went back 3 days later, and the matching jacket was sitting there on the jacket rack. So this is another tip in my tip number 2 for things that are incomplete. Sometimes tops and bottoms get separated, and sometimes you can tell that something is a two-piece garment, and sometimes you can't. But to be able to find the matching pieces, one time in the Goodwill, I found 3 pieces of the same item. It was a vest, a jacket, and I think a skirt. I ended up not getting it, but I did find all 3 pieces and gather them back together. And I said, look, if y'all want to price this together, here it is. They did not reprice it and put it together, which is interesting. They kept it separate. But things get misplaced. They get processed at different times. So the skirt could be one place and the jacket's in another. The belt could be one place, the dress is in another. It could have pants. So if it's incomplete, depending on what the problem is, don't let that stop you from buying the item. It's an easy fix if the button is on the inside. It's an easy fix if the brand tag's hanging off. It's a fairly easy fix to replace a button if it's depending on what that is. And also, I have in my consignment shop, we sold a Chanel group of buttons that came on a 1980s dress that was completely rotted. I mean, it had been in like some sort of water damage, and it was part of a group of things we took in from a consignor. And I said, look, the only way I'm taking this in is I'm going to have to cut the buttons off and throw the dress away, because, yes, I could have dry cleaned the dress. Yes, I could have sold it as is, but I did not want to sell that damaged item as part of my luxury consignment shop. If it had been privately for reselling, I wouldn't have had a problem with it, but it was just easier to cut off the buttons, and the buttons sold for almost $200. These buttons, they were gold tone and missing some of the gold, and they were four-leaf clovers. And what you can do is they can be replated. This is the thing. People who know what they're doing know how to fix this stuff. I'm not a seamstress. I don't know how to do it, but other people do. So that's just my tip number 2. If something's incomplete, don't let that stop you. Look around the store to see if you can find the other half. Look to see if there even is another half. You may not even know it exists. Look for extra buckets in every pocket. For belts, see if you can easily remove the belt loop. See if you might want to just add a ribbon, if that would solve the problem, even a velvet ribbon. If it's stained, kind of weigh your options on whether or not it's worth dry cleaning or not, or washing on your own. Brand tags, they can be replaced, they can be repaired. And then zippers, that's its own category. And that's it. Just little tip number 2. So these are things that work for me, and perhaps they'll work for you. And that's it. So thank you for joining me on sourcing tip number 2 for resellers here on Closet Conversations. If you like what you heard today, feel free to subscribe to this series. You can also be in touch with me on Instagram at JennieGirl's Closet, where I am active. Also have a YouTube channel, JennieGirl's Closet, where I do haul videos and the like. And that's how you get in touch with me. Thanks so much for your time. This is Jennie Walker with Closet Conversations.
People notice a healthy smile, but maybe you have tooth sensitivity, bleeding gums, or acid-weakened enamel. Sensodyne, Parodontax, and Pronamel are trusted specialty toothpastes created to help improve your oral health. For tooth sensitivity, choose Sensodyne. Bleeding gums, get Parodontax. For acid-weakened enamel, Pronamel is the toothpaste for you. Sensodyne, Parodontax, and Pronamel, trusted specialty toothpastes to help bring home your healthy smile. Visit Ibotta to earn cash back.